an exclusive interview with the man on your screens just now, Jawhar Sircar, who has spoken out and rather valiantly. But first, let me bring you up to speed as to what's really going on in the Kolkata rape and murder case. The Apex Court, while hearing, has asked the CBI to file a fresh status report by coming Monday and directed CBI to continue its investigation. The Supreme Court sought clarification on the incident of unnatural death. While I was speaking about the man on the screen right now, to another very significant development, former TMC MP Jawhar Sircar resigned from the Rajya Sabha in protest against the rape and murder of the young trainee doctor in Kolkata. He wrote a letter to West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. Jawhar Sircar announced his resignation, claiming that corruption by a section of leaders of the party and lack of action against them is the reason for his decision. And to speak more about this issue, we have Mr. Jawhar Sircar himself on the broadcast right now. Welcome to the broadcast, Mr. Sircar. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you after a long time.
Thank you.
Mr. Sircar, what really stood out for me in the letter is this. I mean, let me say that although you've been an administrator for years, but there is also a lot of, if I may say so, it's rather poetic. It's rather kind of, there is a prose in it. Seems to be a cry also in the letter, and there is a strength behind that cry. You say, I've suffered patiently for a month since the terrible incident of RG Kaur Hospital, and was hoping for your direct intervention with the agitating junior doctors in the old style of Mamata Banerjee. It has not happened, and whatever punitive steps that government is taking now are too little and quite late. Of course, this is part of your letter that you sent to the Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee. Sir, did you, during all this while, when the incident came to light, ever try and seek an appointment with Ms. Banerjee, sir?
That's not the system in which we function. There are layers. I wasn't in Kolkata when it happened. I was in Parliament. That was the day Parliament was adjourned sine die after a lot of problems. I returned a couple of days later and found directly, at a distance, it's difficult to understand, that Kolkata was in terrible turmoil over this thing. People had taken it very badly. Now, a rape is itself a very horrendous incident to happen because it's traumatic for the person, for society. But this one seemed to have triggered a volcano. Now, I thought that things would be normalized in the next 2 or 3 days as it happens. It didn't. And then within 3 to 4 days, I think 4 days, the CBI took over. The problem is the bad handling in the first place. Bad handling. Now, I guess I have some experience in administration, and we have handled bad cases, terrible things in the past. And what stands out is the credibility of the administration.
You're right. Mr. Sircar.
And what is most remarkable here is a total lack of faith in the administration.
Right. Mr. Sircar,
you
speak about...
are extreme.
Yeah. Sir, sorry to interject.
It's not that the administration of West Bengal has not done anything. It has.
Of course.
There have been positive steps.
Yeah.
People are not willing to believe.
Yeah. Sir, can we start from the time...
Contact,
Mr. Sircar, can you hear me? Mr. Sircar, sorry to interject. You say it was mishandled, and yes, we all know the long years that you have in administrating. From the time when the parents were misinformed, sir, that your young daughter is unwell, and then to say that she had died by suicide. Later, officials from the crematorium also said how the police pushed them to kind of carry out the cremation. Don't you think that the very time that it all started, there seems to be a smoke screen which has been created, Mr. Sircar?
See, an incident like that should have gone straight to the police commissioner and to the Home Secretary. I am not aware how much they were involved in the first stage. And the first thing that an All India Service officer is supposed to do is to bring in transparency, bring in a set of efficiency. We have standard operating procedures, what to do, what happens. This sort of the three things that you just mentioned now are coming out at present and giving a very bad light, throwing a very bad light on the government. Now, government per se at the highest level cannot get into every incident. It's for the officers who were entrusted, and I consider it an abject failure of the Home Secretary and the Commissioner of Police that they didn't understand that this was not one thing, this thing to be hustled through. That hustling through would only aggravate the problem. They could have been more decent, come up front, tell them a horrendous thing has happened, come and see, taken charge of the scene of crime, not allowed a single outsider to be there, cordoned it off, come out transparently, because the commissioner did not murder her or
Right.
whatever. So, I mean, he should have. He's a very good officer, by the way. He's a very good officer.
I
I
mean,
don't
you
know
mean by
why.
Mr. Goel, right? Mr. Goel.
So he's a good officer.
Yeah,
Otherwise, he's
but
an
then,
honest
sir,
officer.
Mr. Sircar, also what we saw, sir, that a mob which was let loose on protesters within RG Kaur Hospital. The doctors were sitting there, the way they entered, the way they vandalized. And the police department, and I'm going to take Mr. Goel's name, he said, listen, do not besmirch our reputation. We do not know where they came from. If the police does not take the onus, sir, of where, how, when, what, then what is the common man supposed to do? So don't you think it also shows the abject failure of the police machinery in West Bengal, sir?
On the 14th night, the attack that took place in Arjikar is totally condemnable. Now, the police say that they were so few in number, they didn't expect, and therefore they got vandalized, they were on the receiving end. I hear stories of policemen running into the patient's room and sort of getting under their bed, and I hear all these stories are quite... point is not the running away of the police and all that. Number one, why didn't you anticipate? What is your intelligence and what are your forces doing? Number one. Number two, if it happened by through a mob of ill-intentioned people,
Right.
which is quite clear, why haven't we found them up and strung them on posts? Why? Why? Who is hiding those who have those who committed this offense? That's a terrible thing. So that's a terrible thing. There is no forgiving.
There is, but the buck stops. But sir, Mr. Sircar, the buck stops ultimately with the chief. And let me add, the chief minister who speaks about Mati, Manush, a woman who has actually meandered, not meandered, but actually burst forth upon the political arena, as we have seen over the years, on the thing that justice be done. So what if I'm a woman? Mr. Sircar, ultimately, what you know, what the common man today on the street knows. Look at the way Shandip Ghosh, the way there was dithering and waffling. He was transferred within what, a few hours of him being allegedly found culpable. The way today he has been booked for financial irregularities. The kind of stories which were doing the rounds about there could be multiple people. Mr. Sircar, how can we not, as common people, say that the buck should have stopped at Mamata Banerjee's doorstep? What is she hiding?
I'm not so sure whether we should be so harsh. I have sympathy for her now.
Oh.
The way she has been surrounded by wrong advisors. I have come out even when I was with the party. I was never a member of the party, incidentally. I was with the party as an MP. On the 13th or 14th itself, before the incident, I said, suspend that fellow, that principal. First principle. You have to take exemplary action to restore public confidence in you. You can't go around. The transfer of this chap to another good hospital was the biggest blunder of the whole incident. So obviously, there are certain doctors. There is obviously one hears of a doctor's caucus that is running Bengal. Now you pay the price for it. You pay the price for yielding to the doctor's caucus. So is the doctor's caucus, are 10, 20, 40 powerful doctors so important as to lose the faith of the people of the state? I mean, I can't understand what's happening, who's advising,
Yeah.
and what are the administrators doing? Why can't they stand up? I stood up to the Chief Minister of West Bengal and I got into his bad books. I left bag and baggage for Delhi. I stood up to the minister there. We were not on speaking terms for almost 2 years. Punishments came in from this side. But you stand up here. I mean, you've been taught to stand up. It's called, in the IAS language, it's called an officer-like quality.
Yes, that's
OLQ.
yeah.
You
Mr.
stand
Sircar,
up. What's happening?
yeah, you've spoken about unchecked, overbearing attitude of the favored few and the corrupt. You've said, in my years, I've never seen such angst and total no confidence against the government, even when things are correct or factual. Mr. Sircar, is it that the Chief Minister, like you have indicated throughout this interview, being surrounded by people who ill advise her? And the thing is that why is it then she's not able to see through it when Kolkata streets today are full of people, working women, non-working women, old, young, students, musicians, actors. What is it that has blinded Mamata Banerjee so badly, Mr. Sircar?
I think some mischievous people must have explained to her, and it's sad that she has perhaps accepted their explanation, that this is a political struggle, let's tackle it politically. The brunt of my letter, as I've called it, a political harakiri or a political self-immolation, is to tell her, because, I have this strong regard for Mamata Banerjee because she is the only force that can stop the BJP from coming to Bengal. The Congress is dead. The CPIM is half dead. She's the only one who can stop them. And I'm very, very ideological about it. I said I'm leaving Rajniti, but I'm not leaving my nitis. My nitis will continue. So from that angle that we don't want a communal regime in Bengal and Bengal to become Assam, we don't want all this. So for that reason, I joined her. I joined her because she was the only person who could fight. And I have seen her over 40 years. I have seen her on the other side of the fence. That means when I was defending administration and she was attacking administration, when she was on the other side of the barricade and I
Right.
was on this side, I have seen her spirited defense, spirited way of getting into things. So I said, old Mamata Banerjee meant not in age, the old style that you get straight into the vortex of the problem. You come straight within the second day, instead of taking out a march of this. I mean, I shouldn't say anymore, I'm not with the party. March of the Women, she should have made overtures to the doctors and sat across with them and gone by their suggestions, because suspension is not a punishment. It is just removing a suspicious person from the scene of an occurrence.
Right.
So if she had done a 5 to 7 suspensions on the first 3 days, things would have been resolved.
Mr. Sircar, also you speak about how she should have done what she should have, as in spoken to the doctors. Apart from her not doing that, certain statements, look at this statement on 28th of August, sir, where she said, it's time for our supporters to hiss. I mean, what is this? Hiss, snakes hiss, sir, at political opponents and not to take insults lying down. A Bangladesh kind of a situation is being created in West Bengal. Then, of course, we have two very, very able women, leaders in her party, a journalist turned politician, Shagorika Ghosh, and also, of course, Miss Moua Moitra. They've always spoken about it. But I see, as a woman who has a child that age, and, unfortunately, I don't have a girl. But the point is, I think, how can not just her saying hiss, this is politics, this is this, all these women also get together and behave like they caucus then, Mr. Sircar. What's the point of the people supporting them? I thought they would at least, safeguard our interest, Mr. Sircar.
Now, I can't comment on my former colleagues. I can't comment on why
Right.
they didn't do it. But people had a higher expectation of her. I can tell you, after having worked with her for 3 years, that she's completely pro-woman. Completely pro-woman. I've seen it. It's not a fake. It's not a put-on. She's completely pro-woman. But why are her women not speaking out is something I can't comment. I can't comment. I wish they did. Let's put it like that. I wish they did. And to take an entire popular movement as political, I'm sorry. You may be the boss, but I don't agree.
Mr.
I
Shar
don't agree.
Mr.
There's
Shar
a large section of politics that has
right.
come in. The BJP is blocking roads. But where the movement is concerned, it is spontaneous. You have to understand that. That's the bottom line of my letter. It's a spontaneous movement for Abhaya and against this regime. This regime. That's the point I made.
Right. So,
So please wake up, because I want
yeah.
you to wake up and not crumble and allow Bengal to be taken over by communal forces.
Do you think
I'm very
this?
clear.
Do you think this
If
will?
any other party came in, I have had no compunction. Let them
Mr.
do.
Sharkar,
But not
you've
a
never been
determined
political
communal party.
in the
No.
long years that I have known you, but now that you were a TMC RS MP, now you're saying I am now retiring from, I mean, I'm leaving. You didn't say retire. I'm leaving politics. राजनीति छोड़ रहा हूँ पर नीति के साथ अभी भी रहूँगा. There are also, I wanted this to come from you, sir, and instead of kind of, making rumors swirl around this, did Mamata Banerjee call you, have a telephonic conversation to say, Jawhar, maybe you should come back? Did you have a conversation? Apparently, you declined politely.
Yes, of course she did. She did speak. She did try to persuade. She gave me her point of view, her overview that I'll never have. She's after all the chief minister of a state and a leader of a movement. I gave my view from the point of, let's put it, educated Calcutta citizen. I gave her the feedback that please don't take it as a political fight. Please, for God's sake, there will be politics. That is a small part of it. That's
right. Yeah.
Let's put it where we
Any
ended
views,
on the different
Mr.
scale,
Sharkar,
right?
any views on the Aparajita Woman and Child West Bengal Criminal Laws Amendment Bill? Do you think it's been hurried up, it's been done? Some legal luminaries are calling it a kind of a knee-jerk reactions. Would you agree? Would you want to comment on that?
I see any step that's taken in favor of women, unless it's sort of knocked down by the courts, any step is a good step, because please try to understand something.
Yes, sir.
That between the 9th of August and today, hundreds of rapes have happened all over India. You can go into statistics. If not hundreds, something close to 100 must have happened. Rapes and murders have happened. Why is one case triggering so much attention? A, Bengal as such is a hyper-emotional state. It is not like Nirbhaya. You agitate for a few days and forget about it. Number one. Number two, the people, mainly the women of Bengal who have come out in the streets of all classes, they are saying we will get change done. The terms of trade, the terms of relationship have to change.
Right. So, Mr.
And that is the verdict of the safest, I would proudly say, one of the safest states in India
right.
for women.
So,
which means that they are leading the way
right.
with this decisive movement so that the rest of India follows.
Right. I want to, before I let you go, Mr. Sharkar, Mr. Sharkar, I want to ask you, do you think this is the beginning of the end of Mamata Banerjee? In the sense, I'm not asking you to be a soothsayer, but what she had built all these years, do you think there is a major chink in her armor now, Mr. Sharkar?
There is. She is suffering from a very bad phase. And many people have told me not to leave her because I went to strengthen her, to strengthen the forces against communalism. I still stand by my commitment. But I don't need to be a member of a party and don't need to come under a discipline. I don't need the perks of office. I can do it on my own. I get more freedom outside.
All right. On that note.
I mean, I personally feel they'll listen to me more now that I've got, what shall I say, one more party MP.
On that note, Mr. Jawhar Sircar, thank you so much for speaking.
It's a thing that had to be done.
Thank you so much.
It's a wake-up call, please. I've said it's a wake-up call.
Right. On that wake-up call note, thank you so much, Mr. Jawhar Sircar, for joining us on this broadcast. Thank you indeed, sir.